country talking to the radio announcers, the church people and the street people, telling them that God has smiled on me. God has smiled on you if you got breath in your body, if He woke you up this morning and started you on your way. But I want to tell you some stories of people that God smiled on. We know the story of Dr. Martin Luther King, how it started way back in Montgomery, Alabama in 1955, trying just to get dignity, trying to get respect. And he went all the way to the mountaintop. But he didn't forget about the brothers in the valley. He didn't forget about those trapped in the alley. And I hear Brother Martin King saying, God has smiled on me. He's been good to me. Let me tell you, God has smiled on me. He's been so good to me. Then I see as Dr. King went on, another man stepping to the forefront by the name of John F. Kennedy, who rose up and said, let's not stand back. Let's not wait for a handout. Let's wait for a way out. He said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. He said, don't us gravel and don't us moan, because God done smile on us. Let me say it. God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Let me say it. God has smiled on me. One more time. I want to say it real slow. I'll say God has smiled on me. He has set me free.
Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net and go to live stream and put a message up on our message board, and it should be coming up momentarily. Yep, I see the message board, and we're getting ready to go live so you can see me. But I see the message board. I see Nicola DeMarco saying good afternoon, Reverend Nan from Tacoma, Washington State. And
Thank you. Well, they said that we couldn't do it, but all the world can see that when we come together, when we rise above our differences, we can come and show an effort that no one can stop. Let us first salute Minister Louis Farrakhan for making a call that reached all of us and has shaken the world. Let me say this. When we hear the word today, when we leave here this evening, we are not leaving having had just a rally. We're going home to do some work. You think you see a crowd now, wait till we go home and get our sisters. You think you've seen something now, wait till we go home and get our mothers. The political story of '94 was the angry white man voted in a new Congress. Well, get ready, America, for the story of '96, when the enlightened black man brings in a new Congress. It's time for Mr. Gingrich and the angry white man who are angry at the wrong people. We are doubly unemployed. Why are you angry at us? Our icons are being demoralized. Why are you angry at us? So let the angry white man meet the enlightened black man that will join hands with other enlightened people and bring us another way. In '63, we had to march across the Red Sea, Reverend Wilson. Well, in '95, we are headed to the Jordan. We don't have to backtrack. We can go forward. And why are you so surprised we're here? Did you think that we would continue to watch our images put down? Look at what they did to people from Michael Jackson all the way across the board. That just because they were people of color were desecrated and demoralized. Well, now we've learned if we hold each other's hands, we can take care of our own Michael Jacksons. We can take care of our own young men. You see the brothers here, but what about the hundreds of thousands behind bars that couldn't come here? We got to stand up and free them too. OJ is home, but Mumi Abu Jamal ain't home. And we won't stop till all of our people that need a chance in an awkward and unbalanced criminal justice system can come home. I end by saying this. 1988, there was a preacher that ran for president named Pat Robertson. He got 2 million votes. There were those young people and ministers and others that took those 2 million votes and in '94 took America. Well, in '88, Jesse Jackson got 7 million votes. And his younger brothers and younger cousins can transform that with the energy given and mobilization given by Minister Farrakhan and others in leadership. And we can change '96. We can straighten out tricks in '96. We can straighten out tricks in '96 if we come alive in '95. So we join the minister. We join black men and black women and our leaders all over America saying, stand up, black man. I know it's hard to stand when you've been shackled, but stand up, black man. I know it's hard to stand when you've been beaten and bruised, but stand up, black man. Let your children, let your daughters, let them all over the world see us stand up together. We all live on one block. We may have different houses, but it's all the same block. Elijah Muhammad's house is on that block. Martin Luther King's house is on that block. Malana Karenga's house is on that block. I want to present to you a man of God, a man of his community, the Reverend Howard Hundley.
Some people report the news, others interpret it, but there are those who transform it into truth. Ari Melba has redefined journalism with intellect, creativity, and courage. He blends culture and current events, politics and poetry, truth and transparency. And in doing so, he reminds us that storytelling is a sacred work. Ari understands that our narratives shape our nation, and he has used his platform to highlight issues that matter to the people, not just to the powerful. Tonight, we honor him for bridging art and activism, for using his voice to educate, inspire, and empower. Join me, please, in celebrating Ari Melba, recipient of the President's Award of Historic Transformative Leadership.
Good evening. Thanks for having me. How are you guys doing? First of all, Babyface is 67 years old. We might need a fact check on that. What an honor to be up here with Rev and everyone else. When Rev started out, they said, he's just doing this to get on TV. Now he has a TV show. He kept along and they said, well, he's just setting himself up to run for office, be a politician.
never knew love like this before.
Sounds so good. That was beautiful. Thank you, everyone. I am humbled and grateful to be here with you tonight. I love you too. I love you too. It seems like I've known Reverend Al Sharpton all my life. My mom was such a fan of his, and I've seen him through my life in LA at MCA Records. When I was there, he'd come through, you know, and get those people straight about our contracts and talk about that. And I haven't been honored a lot. Maybe this is my second time, and I'm 68 years old. And I've been in this business my entire life. I've never done what you would call a real job. But I am truly honored, and I'm thankful, and I love us. I love my black people. And I fight for us, and I want the women, the black women, to really know their worth. Know that they're queens. That's important to me. That's how my mother raised me. My mother was militant, I guess, when it wasn't trendy, yes. Because when I was a little girl, my mother and father would drive in Brooklyn. I'm from Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy, do or die. And when she would see police officers handling black children or a black boy or a girl, she would have my father stop and say, she'd get out of the car and she'd say, "What's going on here? Wait a minute, what you doing?" All the time. So it's natural that I'm that way, because I'm so tired of seeing our black men beaten with handcuffs. They have handcuffs on. That's important to me. That's my fight. I want love in this world. We're living in some, I love you, I love you. I never knew love like this before. I can't sing because we just finished doing 3 shows back to back. And I flew in this morning, and because Reverend Al wanted me to sing home. There's no way I could sing home, but okay. When I think of home, I think of a place where there's love overflowing. I wish I was home. I wish I was back there with the things I've been knowing. When that makes us tall grass bend into leaning, suddenly the raindrops that fall have a meaning. Sprinkling the sea makes it all clean. But thank you. Thank you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. I love you. I love you with my life.
Stephanie Mills.
Please receive one of the greatest voices for the urban community. One, amen. Not them yet. This is one of the greatest voices, not many of the greatest voices. We're going to adjust the program quickly at this time. This man has spoken out. He stood on the front line. He has been a man for the people, of the people. Please receive Reverend Al Sharpton.
Thank you, Bishop. To the Franklin family and to all of us gathered, Aretha Franklin was not only an unparalleled artist, she was a civil rights activist and freedom fighter. It is easy to celebrate the gifts that God gives. It is more difficult when someone uses those gifts in ways that enhances humanity. Aretha Franklin was given special gifts, but she used it in a special way. And she would not want us to celebrate her without talking about she stood for something. She never shamed us. She never disgraced us. She never made us make excuses for her. She represented the best in our community, and she fought for our community until the end. I first met Miss Franklin when I was a teenager. I'd become youth director of New York Operation Breadbasket, and she would come to the strategy meetings with Reverend Jackson. And I would hear the stories of how when Dr. Martin Luther King could make payroll, Harry Belafonte and Aretha Franklin went on an 11-city tour to raise money for Martin Luther King. A lot of artists hang up Dr. King's photo, but Aretha went and raised money and gave it and worked free. Her daddy marched with Dr. King, and she never stopped supporting. As the years went by and I developed National Action Network, and she would call my radio show and have me come to her affairs. She called me one day. She said, "Reverend Al, I want to send you something." I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "What's your home address?" And she sent it. About 3 days later, I got a check made out National Action Network signed by Aretha Franklin. I saw about a month later, I said, "You know, I was so blown away. I grew up looking up to you that I framed that check." She said, "Boy, don't you have a copy machine?" She said, "You don't know how I am with my bank accounts. You better cash that check and..." Keeping it real. I am your host,
But
Reverend Al
all of her
Sharpton, and
life,
we're back.
she supported the causes.
1-877-532-5797, or you can go to live stream at www.nationalactionnetwork.net. And I think we had the sound straight on live stream, and we're going back to the pictures, and we trying to get past whatever had messed up with the internet services yesterday nationwide, but I think we are all right now. We're about to go live picture. We are already, I can see your messages, and Magnolia Brown is saying it is psychological, him tearing down the White House. It's what dictators do. Very, very good point, Magnolia. And then Bruce Turner's saying he's destroying history again. And I agree with both of those sentiments. Let's go to the phones. Let me go to Andre J in Chicago. Andre J, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton. I'm doing very well. How are you?
Insult to the Tuskegee Airmen, the first black group of pilots in there. But yet there's no pushback. If you're a retired Air Force general, whatever it is, you could speak out, you could push back and say something about what Donald Trump is doing. For him to do these type of things and it goes unchecked, I find that to be a problem because it's an insult to our Air Force for him to be on there doing that stuff. And I'd like to know who pays for them things. When he come up with these pictures of him and the Pope and picture him flying and jets and doing things, I want to know who pays for that. That taxpayers' money paying for that kind of stuff. I'd like to find that out. Secondly, Rev, you know, I watch the news shows and I watch the hosts, and I think that on all of these networks, they're doing us a disservice by not calling out who Trump's enemies is. They are leaving it to us to believe that James Comey, which you know and I know James Comey is a Republican. But if you listen to these talk show hosts, I've been listening to them on mostly all of these networks, they just saying Trump's enemies. And that's misleading the people. They're leading people to believe that Trump's enemies are Democrats. Well, they're not. Because if you look at it, James Comey is a Republican. General Milley is a Republican. John Bolton is a Republican. Liz Cheney was a Republican. Brad Raffensperger was a Republican. And when those talk show hosts talk about his enemies, they need to state that. They need to state that Jack Smith was appointed by the Democrat whose name was Merrick Garland. But they don't say that, Reverend. They leave the people out here to scramble, and they leave the impression that these are Democrats. Even when Jack Smith had an interview with, I forget what his name was, they didn't even mention the fact that Jack Smith is a Republican. I think that's some important information to put out there because Donald Trump got a history of attacking his own people in his own party, and the news media is not stating that. I listen, they're not bringing that. And that's important. People need to know that. We got a problem with letting these Republicans and Donald Trump them set the narrative about a lot of things. We should let him do that. And when these Democratic politicians, when these Democratic politicians go on Fox News, they ought to be smart enough to watch the interview after they do it to make sure that their words ain't getting twisted. Because I've seen some interviews with certain people been on there and they said some things, then they bring the Republican to rebut it back on there and they don't have a chance to push back on it, so yet they walk away. But it'd be nice if after you do an interview, you should go back and watch it. Like when Joe Biden did that debate with Donald Trump, they asked Joe Biden, did you watch the debate afterwards and see how you put him? He said, no, I didn't watch it. But that's a mistake. Don't trust Fox News. Don't go on Fox News doing these debates and you're not smart enough to watch the debate afterwards to see if they twist your word so you can correct it. Let's let these people stop setting the narrative, Rev. Like I said, I personally find it an insult to fly that jet like that.
All right. Well, thank you for the call. I think that you are right. When he does the memes and videos at taxpayers' expense, we ought to be saying something about that. And I know children that go to junior high school or secondary school that wouldn't do a meme of being in a pilot, being in a combat plane, dropping feces on a march. I mean, that's as childish as it is repugnant. It's both. Mayor Rodney Jones on our page, our message board, saying happy birthday to all Libras, my mother and sister in heaven, and my nephew. And I'm a Libra, y'all know. October 3rd, I just celebrated my birthday. Bruce Turner says the hosts are puppets. He's addressing what Andre J just said. He's saying the hosts are puppets to the owners. That's why they don't speak out. The Walter Cronkites are dead and gone. Well, you got to be a certain age. Remember Walter Cronkite? I do. I was a little boy, but I used to watch Cronkite, and I try on my television show to say it like it is, whether it make people comfortable or not. That's why I ask for your support. Let's go to Demetrius in Cleveland, Ohio. Demetrius, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Yeah, thank you, Reverend Sharpton. That's good talking to you. I just want to speak briefly. Concerning the congressman of North Carolina, Fetterman. I
No,
believe,
he's from
before he makes,
Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania.
excuse me, from Pennsylvania. I believe, not any type of giveaway should be negotiated unless it's guaranteed by the Republicans right in the present that they're going to restore some of the benefits that have been taken away, some type of good faith. Because with Donald Trump's record of telling the truth and not sticking by his word if he's been in office, you can't believe that once the government is back open again, that they're going to follow through, because his track record is not good. To me, they can have some type of good faith to ensure that the Democrats that he will follow through by restoring those when it comes to the equal opportunity bills, when it comes to taking money away from the private education, restore that money. Then there can be some basis to believe that they will follow through and they will negotiate. And not that their track record is too have too many holes in it, and especially Donald Trump. He speaks on a lot of things and he changes his mind the next day, so he can't be trusted. And I believe for anything being done, you have to be some type of guarantee and have to be some change right now before the government's back open, because that's the same way any other negotiation will work. Same way in Gaza, the same way in other parts of the world where they negotiate treaties. There's always a give and take before the final treaty is signed in most instances. And when you spoke on, keep at a concentrate on the enemy, and that always argue among themselves. But I think sometimes it becomes tricky when you have sometimes the person you're arguing with, they doing the deeds of the enemy. When they say, don't vote, or when they defame people, for own personal reasons, or they wear sheep clothing. So sometimes, they may not be the main enemy that people see, but they be camouflage working with the enemy. So when you be talking against people who's not the main culprit, but in a way they are an extension of the enemy. So it have to be a real close look at other people who are having conflict with, or some people work with the enemy, but yet they want to say, like, no, I'm independent. I'm saying this because I disagree, but really they be working behind closed doors with the enemy knowingly, or they might be doing it blindly. They just don't know, because they just been, I would say, mentally believing what they're doing is right through years, but they have to really know the source of it. And, and some people work blindly, but some people work intentionally. But they got to realize it's not good for all people. If they have their own personal reasons, they working against the enemy. It's not helping uplift mankind and being serving what's right in the world, and serving God or whatever people believe in. But in most instances, some people they have their personal reasons, and when you get in conflict with them, in a lot of cases, they work with the enemy and intentionally, or they just don't care. They have their own selfish reasons. They'll bring down good people out of jealousy and out of hate.
Yeah. And see, I think that the hate and jealousy, that's why I try to minimize in our community, if we disagree, that we don't need to get hateful and spiteful, because people put stuff out there to make us disagree, and then we start fighting each other rather than having that energy toward who are the ones that are exploiting and compromising our standing. And you're absolutely right. I thank you for your call, Demetrius.
Thank you.
Let me see if I can get Tommy.
No, let's go to break.
Let's go to break. I'll come back to you, Tommy. Keeping it real. Sharpton. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. And we have the sound and the picture up on live stream at www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Go to live stream, and I'll be right back.
Who is
this 33-year-old preacher without a church.
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, the two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born. I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you're very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They call me everything but a child of God.
A blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
I had to know.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing. And I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that call me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustler and all, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity, at the development of his intellect, and his devotion to our movement, and much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored, and I must say that when I had my debate with Dr. King on the issue of the church and religion, he didn't warn me that after his departure, his space would be filled by another preacher, and that preacher would be Al Sharpton.
All you want in life is people that matter to you to say you did all right. And more important, that you can look in the mirror and say you did all right.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do. And I thank you so much for your friendship.
I remember that most of the youth around Al's age, he was about 12, wanted to be like Connie Hawkins, a great basketball player, legend, or Earl the Pearl, or Clyde Frazier. Al wanted to be like Adam Powell, a powerful preacher with a social justice gospel. He was very close to, at that time, the Reverend William Augustus Jones, powerful preacher and social justice advocate, and Reverend Gardner Taylor stayed right down the street, and Bishop Washington, whose church he came from, and Reverend Sandy Ray. He wanted to be like these giant preachers. He wanted them to have the edge, however, of the King's social justice dimension. He wanted to be like them, now he's one of them. Perhaps taller than most of them because of the risks he has taken and the reward God has given him with his gift. I remember so well that I first escorted him to jail. He was around 13 years old. With the jail fighting the ANP. He was in the lineage of our struggle. He grew up in it. We didn't just see him on TV one night. He didn't happen. He came bottom up, not top down.
Tony Wafer, Los Angeles chapter, NASDAQ Network. He just came here to New York a couple days ago, had to stop by the House of Justice, and I sure enough found some justice, so I know I can leave here feeling like I got peace.
Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Let's go back to the phone. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin. You know, every day, Monday through Friday, I do 3 hours a day on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. I do 1 hour on Sunday mornings with Reverend Al Sharpton. And I'm live on radio and TV with the Saturday Action Rally. 7 days a week, I talk to our people, hear from them, to call in. I'm sick and tired of people talking for people that they don't talk to. So go on www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Listen to my show, call in, express your opinion. You don't have to agree with me. But let's start talking to each other rather than about each other and lecturing at each other. Let's keep it real with Sharpton.
This way it all starts.
How are you?
Highly favored. Highly favored.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Love you.
Over your house.
All right, man.
March in Washington. 62 years later, the dream is not dead.
I'm here because I must be here. Democracy is not there for the pig, and you have to fight for democracy. That's what it is. What Trump will erase, we will replace.
It's the dreamers in many cases have reversed and tried to turn it into a nightmare. We come to Wall Street rather than Washington this year to let them know you can try to turn back the clock, but you can't turn back time. We gonna keep the dream alive on Wall Street. Oh.
I got a Tony.
You got it? My daughter won a Tony Award.
That's crazy.
All right. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're live. Keeping it real. Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. Let's go back to the radio. Let's go to Tommy in Chicago. Tommy.
A pleasant afternoon to you, Reverend Sharpton, and especially to all of those in your listening audience. You know, Rev, there are many times when I call and I try to explain to you how the reality of calling myself questioning you, that it led me to go into the ministry. Not so that I would be recognized, but that I could do as Matthew did when he went and he spoke to his people, because Matthew was a Jew speaking to Jews, and the first thing he told them is, I'm not telling you about what I heard, I'm telling you about what I saw and what I know. And you know, Reb, that in all of that, even Jesus would say to Peter that when you come back to yourself, my prayer, even while you've been sifted as wheat, that you would go and encourage your brothers. So this is the moment that I'm trying to encourage my people that are called by my name, and then those people who are in this world that we call the United States of America and are humanistic. Now, there is no other need or no other reason for you to deny the actual archival proof of the absolute understanding of how we, a displaced people, came from another continent and ended up in this continent, in which that continent never launched armies, never launched Marines, didn't have an Air Force to come and get us. So we were disseminated into this hypocrisy that we call the preamble, we the people in order to form a better government, which we have never been a part of, and even to this day. Let me just wrap this up. It is not how dumb can you be. It is the clear initiative and narrative for all the no vote, for all the individuals who want to crowd and say that we didn't come, nobody did anything for us, for all the discouraged, for all, every rabbit hole you can come down. The reality is now that a hostile takeover is happening in the country in which you exist. My point simple. I have no place to go, no place that I want to go other than where I'm at, because I have yet to discover all of the majesty of this country in which I was born, and I served, and I came up under principled people. And in Chicago, if it was one thing we could do as a nation of people, our people, we could stop the way we feel about our black women and at least expressing it on the airwaves, because in Chicago, our own Cleopatra Draper with her magnificence and the women that have been on her show, yet it is a man that comes right behind her talking absolute lunacy. And then that's when you go right to the Bible. And when God asked Adam, hey, Doc, what happened? What did he say, Rev? It was that woman you gave me. Now run and tell that. Nothing but excuses, and the reality of the truth will not go away. King said it, truth crushed down is rising again. This is where we're at. I love you, Reverend.
All right,
Al
love
Sharpton.
you. Thank you for your call, Tommy. And Happiness Donuts is saying on the live stream, fired up and ready to go. I know we have 3 more years, but we are resilient and patient. I love to hear that now, Happiness Donuts, because, yeah, we got 3 more years to fight Trump, but we were enslaved for 246 years before the Emancipation Proclamation. Then we are 140 years since the Emancipation Proclamation, somewhere around that. So we can fight 3 years. Look how long we had to fight our way thus far, since 1619. And, you know, I am sometimes tired, but I don't get weary. I'm with you. I am definitely with you, Happiness Donut. Let's go to Miss Richardson in Chevy Chase, Maryland. My friend, Miss Richardson.
Yes, good afternoon, Rev.
Good afternoon.
Yes, so wonderful speaking with you. You know, my concern mostly is our education for our children. And Rev, if you could maybe get some statistics in sometime and the breakdown of, because what I'm hearing from scholars, and these are not white people, Rev, they're black people who are recognized as doctors and black people that come on these shows, not just your, well, you don't really bring them on, but these others do. And they're saying that some of these other groups, their test scores are much higher. And I think one pointed out the Spanish people making better grades than black people. Now, in the education system where the the NEA and all of these people, it seems like there's a lot of our young people dropping out of school. And, in the school in Baltimore, there are a lot of young people dropping out of Baltimore schools. And maybe if you can get some statistics in sometime and share it with us, because I don't want to be saying something, raving and rallying and not knowing what I may be talking about. But this is what I'm hearing from doctors who are black, these black people that come on these shows. Tabitha Smiley had a show about a month, well, I guess it's a couple of months now, that these two ladies were on, and they were from Chicago. And they're saying that they're happy what Trump is doing to clean up the crime, because they're saying there's a lot of crime in Chicago, and these two women seem very worrisome. And they were guests on Tabitha Smiley, and of course Tabitha was going by, pretty much on the radar, like some people that are, are not living in Chicago probably. But these two black women were saying, oh, it's terrible, and they're afraid to go out in the evening, that there's a lot of crime. But Red, what I'm saying is, can you maybe get some statistics about our children in these schools, because they're dropping out, and not just Baltimore, but maybe some of these other schools where primarily there's black students, because see, black students need some Afrocentrism. That's what I've always been saying on these airways. And they had a lady, Marva Collins, many years ago. She was on one of these shows, WL Kathy Hughes' show, and I called in. My God, when I brought up Afrocentrism that these children need about their own race, and not George Washington and the same old in the predominantly white-oriented, driven schools. She really didn't want me to. She was really a tirade about me saying put Afrocentrism in these grade schools. Marva Collins was a black woman, and they're saying she's passed away. Now, I don't know, but they say she passed on. But Marva Collins did not believe in that. She believed more in the ABCs and just the general, what these white-driven schools, public schools, of course, that's all they reside on is teaching them white education. And a lot of our people look at George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, and all these other people as being the forefathers. They were not black people's forefathers, were they, Red? Now, if they were your fathers, maybe you'll tell me that they were. But we had our own black forefathers, but they're saying that these are our forefathers: George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Adams, and But Brad, maybe you can get some statistics.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Thank you for your call, Ms. Richardson. I think it's a good idea to get some of the education experts on, particularly now that they're trying to ban Black history. I think we should jump right on that and get that, and maybe even have a expert on like once a week for a couple of hours, and let's deal with education in our community, both Black history education and how they're dealing with the general education that makes our people adequate and prepared for this technological age. Let's take a break. Be right back. More of you on the phones and on live stream. I'm seeing that you, John Moten. Thanks for always keeping it real, Reverend Al. No justice, no peace. I got you, John. Thank you for that. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
That is extremely important about the funding. But I also want to add how they're changing what can be taught. You have states outright saying you can't teach Black history and you can't teach certain other histories and the curriculum. You have this administration that is literally taking out exhibits from the Smithsonian. So we have not only an education problem in terms of resources, we have an education problem in terms of curriculum and what people are being taught. So I have one grandchild, 6-year-old. When he gets to high school, it may be just against the law for him to learn about certain parts of American history, which includes Blacks. We want to talk about slavery. We want to talk about the good side of America. Well, what does that mean? That's not history. Everything was not good. And I think that that is the threat that we've got to fight, which is why we've got to fight in the courts and the streets, because they are literally changing the textbooks as we go. As they do that, they change the opportunities, because then the fight against affirmative action is not having access to these institutions and telling these institutions, this whole fight around DEI, which they did, started at Harvard with a Black woman president. Started with them saying you can't teach diversity in an Ivy League school like Harvard. It didn't start in Little Rock at the high school. This fight, this time, was Harvard. And they went from there on. And I think that we've got to have the same resistance. If they could fight in the 50s, the ACP would have been formed together and deal with the question from Little Rock in terms of desegregation. Then we that are far more educated, far more economically secure personally, have no excuse in the age of what they did in Harvard not to be standing up back in this.
No justice, no justice, no justice. What do we want? What do we want?
We are the sons and the daughters. We gotta stand up and make it loud. Just like our God told the Pharaoh, let my people go, go. We are a new generation from the ones who have come before. He's calling us into freedom. Let my people go, go. We never shine, never shade. Give me a papa God, rain, make the heavens. If you don't say you know I'm trouble, let my people go, go. The blood, sweat, and the tears that we gathered through the years. If you don't say you know I'm trouble, let my people go, go. Wade in the water, we did wade in the water too.
Many people cannot focus because they have not really come to terms with their calling and life purpose. In order to focus, you must also be clear on what you're focusing on. So if you're not clear on your purpose, if you're not clear on your life's calling, then focus on seeking that. Because if you just read the ways and roads you traveled that you didn't even choose that were sort of just laid out for you by God. In that, it's telling you, speaking to you about what your purpose is and what you were born to do and be. I learned the things that I didn't plan had to be planned by God, and God's plan was directed toward God's purpose in my life. And I focus on that. Not focus on what others do, not focus on how well they're doing or bad they're doing, but focus on whether I'm in line and aligned with what I'm supposed to be about. And in order to move straight ahead, you have to be focused on the path you're running on. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. Let me remind you, I shouldn't have to, but just in case there's some new listeners or viewers, since we back straight on live stream, don't forget to watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Every Saturday and every Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MSNBC. And I try to give you the people right in the middle of the issues that have the influence. I don't try to have my friends that want to just get on TV and show the world how brilliant they are. I want people that can answer questions. Why are we in a lockdown? How do we salvage Medicare and Medicaid? How do we salvage the Affordable Care Act? How do we deal with all of this with the Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act may be gone? I want senators, governors, congressmen to deal with that, or expert lawyers. And believe me, if you give me the hour, Saturday and Sunday, I'll make it worth your while. Every Saturday and Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MSNBC. And you that live in the tri-state area of New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, meet me or beat me to the Saturday Action Rally at the House of Justice in Harlem, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue in the village of Harlem. Every Saturday morning, 9 a.m. to 11, I'm there. You that don't live or not visiting the New York and vicinity area, you can watch it live on Impact Television, the only national black-owned gospel network on TV. And make sure you do that, and you can watch it. Let's go back to the phone. Let me go to my friend Disco Bryan in Philadelphia. The Word.
WURD, everyone. Go there. Don't just listen. Donate. Do it more than you do to NPR, okay? But do it to NPR also. Listen, Rev, really quick, I love you. Anti-Semitism, white supremacy, and chattel slavery are interlocked and linked. Hitler, like his idol Henry Ford, like Kanye, Elon, Putin, Trump, and Xi, hates and fears the Black-Jewish alliance most. Let's keep it real, human family. The Black-Jewish alliance is immortalized in a song called Strange Fruit, first performed by the Black woman who catapulted the 21st century civil rights movement in the most important way, through song. And her name was, of course, Billie Holiday. And it was written by who again, Rev?
By who wrote the
Yeah.
song?
Yeah, Strange Fruit. Do we remember? Because it's hard for me to remember.
I do not remember. I know Billie Holiday made it famous. I don't think she wrote it, though.
That's right. It was written by Abel Morapool, a Jewish immigrant who taught James Baldwin High School. Yeah, he taught James Baldwin in high school.
Give us his name again. Give us his
Abel, A-B-E-L, Morapool, M-O-R-O-P-O-O-L.
All right. Now, I do know,
Yeah. And,
and I'm going to let you finish,
Yeah.
that a lot of the entertainers like Billie Holiday and later Harry Belafonte, Paul Robeson, and all of them fought with Jewish people in the music business and in the anti-Holocaust movement, and also were some of the first ones into supporting Dr. King and the Civil Rights Movement. And I think that that's important. Now, that does not excuse the Netanyahus and others who have been the opposite of those freedom fighters. But you're correct about the Jewish freedom fighters that joined and supported the movement. You're correct about that.
Thank you, Rev. I also opposed, as much as I opposed Putin and Trump, Netanyahu. But guess what? I also oppose the Ayatollah just as much as I oppose all of those guys, because they're all in cahoot to crush democracy. Any black, Asian, Muslim, Christian, agnostic, woman, or white human who claims to be for justice, but who believes their enemies are what they call European Jews or Arab Jews or Ethiopian Jews or any Jews at all, are enemies of themselves. Here's a fun little memory exercise I came up with, Rev. What religion is Kamala Harris's husband?
What religion?
Is Kamala Harris's husband Doug Emhoff?
I think Doug is Jewish, isn't he?
Cultural. Yeah. And then what religion is Ketanji Brown Jackson's husband?
Jewish.
James. Yep. And do you remember that beautiful actress Roxy Roker who played Helen Jefferson on The Jeffersons, Rev?
Oh, yeah. She was married to someone Jewish, yeah. I mean, your case is made. There's no question about the intersection among many in the Jewish community and many in the black community. And we agree Netanyahu and there are others that have been not only anti-black, but I think what is right, anti-democracy. There's no question about that. And I don't have a problem with that. I have had at the House of Justice, Jewish leaders talked about black-Jewish unity as long as we agree on the principles. And I think the thing that I think that we've got to be most conscious of is most people that are anti-Semitic are also racist, and vice versa. So when they marched in Virginia, they marched saying Jews will not replace us to protect a Confederate statue of Robert E. Lee, who fought to keep the Confederate Army rolling so they could keep us in slavery. I'm not confused about that.
Thank you, Rev. Rev, look, I realize what a Herculean request it is to ask the leader of the civil rights movement to spend even one moment thinking about me or my work beyond the precious seconds that I get to talk to you here. But I'm going to say this with humility and faith. When you do see my work, I know that you're not only going to thank me, you might even wish you'd seen it sooner, because I was raised on Spike, Prince, Howard Stern, and Madonna, and my work is a direct reflection of their work, the collision of art, truth, and moral clarity. Again, it's on the YouTube channel. But before I do get into any of that, Rev, I have another one that I'm making that my wife and I can't get through because we keep crying. It's based on our conversation we had last week about Casey Kasem. But before I go into that, I'd love your help, Rev, amplifying, and let's see if we can't turn this into something we can encourage all our brothers to sign on to. It's called a Declaration of Accountability and Renewal of Manhood. And here it is, Rev. I, as a man and member of humankind, declare that I am fiercely committed to equality for women and men, for all genders, races, faith, and sexual orientations. I reject all forms of supremacy, racial, religious, sexual, economic, or political. I acknowledge that for millennia men have abused power over women, over the earth, and over one another. And I ask forgiveness on behalf of men, past and present, for our complicity in cultures of rape, exploitation, and objectification, and for our silence in the face of these evils. And I confess that I have inherited and at times perpetuated the habits and privileges of patriarchy. I have been tempted by systems and stories that glorify dominance, conquest, and the reduction of women to objects of use or fantasy. I reject this inheritance and commit myself to its undoing. From this day forward, let me be judged not by my public actions, not just by my public actions and private conduct alike, but by how I treat, honor, and listen to women and all people, by how I resist the seductions of power and contempt, by how I raise my voice for justice. And I recognize that the roots of fascism grow from the same soil as sexual domination, which is fear of equality, fear of tenderness, fear of being changed by love. And I therefore pledge to confront those demons in myself, in my brothers, and in my society, in every space I inhabit, home, work, faith, politics, and art. I will stand against the normalization of violence, objectification, and coercion. I will practice a masculinity grounded not in control, but in conscience, with Reverend Sharpton, not in domination, but in dignity, not in fear, but in faith. This is the last thing, Rev. This is not an end, but a beginning, a vow to evolve, to repair, and to love more bravely with the Kingian nonviolence tradition. I love you, Rev. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I thank you for your call, and I think you put a lot in there. But I think it was important. There's always those that try and act like some of us are anti-Semitic when the clear anti-Semites are the ones that are now being exposed. And, you know, the way they stop our movements is they will try and scandalize those that go out front. So they'll tell things on, whoever, Dr. King, then Jesse Jackson, then the minister. And then, when it's my turn, they'll come up with anything because they want to confuse and blur the people. They don't attack the people in power. They attack those that are fighting the people in power. And that's how you know who to watch and who to listen to. Because why are they on assignment on those that are trying to confront and change the people that are exploiting us? I don't know if they are consciously working for the other side or they just have bad judgment. But we'll see. Time will tell. That's what Malcolm said. Time will tell. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton right after this.
Thank you. Well, they said that we couldn't do it, but all the world can see that when we come together, when we rise above our differences, we can come and show an effort that no one can stop. Let us first salute Minister Louis Farrakhan for making a call that reached all of us and has shaken the world. Let me say this. When we hear the word today, when we leave here this evening, we are not leaving having had just a rally. We're going home to do some work. You think you see a crowd now, wait till we go home and get our sisters. You think you've seen something now, wait till we go home and get our mothers. The political story of 94 was the angry white man voted in a new Congress. Well, get ready, America, for the story of 96, when the enlightened black man brings in a new Congress. It's time for Mr. Gingrich and the angry white man who are angry at the wrong people. We are doubly unemployed. Why are you angry at us? Our icons are being demoralized. Why are you angry at us? So let the angry white man meet the enlightened black man that will join hands with other enlightened people and bring us another way. In 63, we had to march across the Red Sea, Reverend Wilson. Well, in 95, we are headed to the Jordan. We don't have to backtrack. We can go forward. And why are you so surprised we're here? Did you think that we would continue to watch our images put down? Look at what they did to people from Michael Jackson all the way across the board. That just because they were people of color were desecrated and demoralized. Well, now we've learned if we hold each other's hands, we can take care of our own Michael Jacksons. We can take care of our own young men. You see the brothers here, but what about the hundreds of thousands behind bars that couldn't come here? We got to stand up and free them too. OJ is home, but Mumi Abu Jamal ain't home. And we won't stop till all of our people that need a chance in an awkward and unbalanced criminal justice system can come home. I end by saying this. 1988, there was a preacher that ran for president named Pat Robertson. He got 2 million votes. There were those young people and ministers and others that took those 2 million votes and in 94 took America. Well, in 88, Jesse Jackson got 7 million votes. And his younger brothers and younger cousins can transform that with the energy given and mobilization given by Minister Farrakhan and others in leadership. And we can change 96. We can straighten out tricks in 96. We can straighten out tricks in 96 if we come alive in 95. So we join the minister. We join black men and black women and our leaders all over America saying, stand up, black man. I know it's hard to stand when you've been shackled, but stand up, black man. I know it's hard to stand when you've been beaten and bruised, but stand up, black man. Let your children, let your daughters, let them all over the world see us stand up together. We all live on one block. We may have different houses, but it's all the same block. Elijah Muhammad's house is on that block. Martin Luther King's house is on that block. Malana Karanga's house is on that block. But let me tell you something, when you set the block on fire, I don't have time to look at other houses' videos. It's time for all of us to come out together and save the block of black folk in America. Some of us will stand up and fight. Some of us won't switch. Some of us won't buckle or bow. As James Brown said, some of us rather die on our feet than live on our knees. Thank you and God bless you. Church, I want to present to you a man of God, a man of his community, the Reverend Howard Hundley. Together. Yes, I am. Trouble don't last always. I'm so glad. Yes, I am. Trouble don't last always.
Thank you so much. My name is True Osborne. Humbled and honored. All right.
Civil rights leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
You're live. Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we are back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Twitter.com. The Rev Al. Twitter.com. The Rev Al, and we taking your calls at 1-877-532-5797, or we are taking your on our live stream at www.nationalactionnetwork.net. I'm going to jump on this Zoom call and have Dominique Sharpton sit in for me. I will be back before the show is over. Dominique?
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm sorry about that, everyone. As Rev said, we are taking your calls at 1-877-532-5797, or you can join us on the message board. Let's go back to the phones, and we've got Reverend Dr. Michael A. Walron Jr., who's with us, who joins us every Tuesday. So good afternoon to you too, Reverend Walron.
Good afternoon, Dominic. How are you today?
All right. How are you? Let's go to Anita. I see Anita holding on, listening to us from Chapel Hill. Anita, you're keeping it real. Good afternoon.
Hi. Good afternoon to you and Reverend Walron. Always nice to talk to both of you and hear you. I wanted to say something about the No Kings movement march they had. Well, they were in Chapel Hill, and I didn't see very many African Americans there. And I asked one of the ladies, she was Caucasian. I said, well, where are the African American people? She looked at me like, I don't know. Isn't that strange? I said, well, we've been doing this for almost 500 years, and you come over here from England, so this wouldn't happen to you. I said, what is going on? I asked her back, what is going on? Okay, so this is a strange time, and I do think someone's trying to topple the democracy, and that would mean slavery and people making up rules that God didn't make, which would be disastrous for everyone, including the fools that think they can make rules better than God. Also, the affordable housing here is getting really crazy. And corporate is going to take over everything because the private landowners cannot afford to renovate their homes or regut them or whatever they do to them once they get over, 50 years old. They have to do something to them. And it's just nothing here. And this is a college town. And I'm very worried because Kamala was going to bring a housing program to help people be able to afford homes. And corporates, they don't care if you can afford. I don't know where they expect you to live, but homelessness here is really bad, and drug habits are really bad here. And this is not a black town, okay? It's not mostly African American here, not at all. And this is a college town, and this is the first public university that was built, was supposedly the UNC in Chapel Hill. So I'm worried about all these things. I'm worried about us losing the right to even have an education and to have a home. This is real crazy and out of hand. And I was hoping that maybe Kamala, I forget how to pronounce her name.
Kamala.
But yeah, okay. She needs to have Bernie Sanders, Jonathan Jackson, and Tim Walz as her advisory council. And we need to start making some new rules for the democracy so that people just can't come and slam and bash everything. Because with what she was doing, she was inviting all people to come, no matter how they thought or how they believed, to live in some type of unity and peace. And this is not what's going on here right now. This is like tear everything up, act like no one worked real hard to have these things for, at least in this country, from African-American perspective, almost 500 years. And I'm very concerned about that. And housing and education are very important, not to mention the health care that they're trying to take away.
Absolutely. No, I agree with you, Sister Anita. And thank you so much for really laying it out that way. We were talking, Reverend Walron, last night about at the youth huddle that we have every Monday at the House of Justice, and talking about how, if they're gutting the Department of Education and then going forward, how we're seeing the ramifications now happening around services to special education, and how services to children with disabilities even across the country in jeopardy. I mean, how deeper do we have to see it get? Before we are stripped away from, opportunities where we are afforded quality housing, as Sister Anita was talking about, or quality education, or even down to the fact where, if we start to see the governance happening, and the power awarded to these states to literally interpret these policies, it's going to be very detrimental to the American people moving forward. And how do we climb ourselves out, right, to get to that point where we say, okay, if we have a Kamala, standing strong with a strong advisory board, or how do we even get there if we have to do so much to climb ourselves out from these pit holes that we are being placed in?
Yeah, I think, and I hate to kind of beat a point, but we're living in the consequences of elections. And this can go back to 2016, I think, where a lot of this begins, where people personalize their political choices. And, well, I don't like Hillary, and I don't like Hillary, instead of making a political choice, not a personal choice. The question for me was I a fan of Hillary Clinton then? No, not really. But I also had to ask, if we have Supreme Court seats opening up 3 to 4, who do I want making the choice, Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton? Easy choice for me. Mm-hmm. So you make a political choice, not a personal choice. Same thing in 2024. It became, President Biden's old. Or then you had people who are clearly anti-woman, anti-black woman, and were making all these excuses for not supporting Kamala Harris. She was one of the most prepared persons to run for the office of president in the history of this country, just based on her political record and also the kind of work she's done. And we had all these reasons. I'm talking about our people, black folk, and as well. That's what we got to be clear. Who are making all these reasons. She's not qualified enough. I don't think she can do it. And the question becomes, okay, who would you rather be driving this bus right now in this critical moment, Kamala Harris or Donald Trump? And there were people who knowingly chose Donald Trump who made choices that were personal, not political, and now they're living the consequences. So you make a decision, but now you want to be rescued from your bad decision. So it's like you have to lie in this bed that was made for some people, and I talk to many people now who did not support Kamala Harris, and now they're like, a mistake was made, or you should have thought about this when it was time, rather now crying over spilled milk, and we ain't even seen it yet. As you know, Dominic, we're talking about what's on the horizon. Even the strategy of the Republicans have said, well, these cuts are not going to go into effect until after midterms, right? Because they know what that means. They're trying to save the seats in the House. And so people are not even paying attention to that. So we're talking about cuts now that are going to get kicked in after the midterm. And unfortunately, there's going to be more people making bad political choices again in the midterms unless the Democrats or a person to me to start making different kind of analysis and pointing out different things, why it's important to vote. That's right. I'll add this too, just in case I don't get to say it, with this No Kings rally. Listen, Dominique, I support rallies and I support protests. We've been doing it. I've been doing it with you all at NAN, been doing it at FCBC. But what I will say is that we have to also start thinking strategically. If voting is critical, and we know voting is critical, and the midterms will come, there's an opportunity to practice something different. We do the no protests marches. What happens if the day before election around the country would get out the vote rallies? The same way No Kings.
Oh, yeah.
To ensure and talk about how important this election is and the midterms are, where you have these mass moments of movement the day before elections to draw attention to how critical these elections are. That's taking the same ideas, the same kind of work, but repurposing it to bring awareness on election, because that's the issue. Turnout or people making poor choices. If you could get it the last minute, that day before, that's just another possibility of how you use the same approach, but repurposing it for a greater point.
No, that's a good suggestion there. We should definitely do that. And I think that a lot of the misinformation that is out there is what is really deterring people. You talk about how the media is controlling the narrative, and thankfully we have platforms that still exist like this one, where we can really speak truth to power, because the information that's getting to our people is essential. And I feel that there's misinformation that is really lurking, around us, and people are really starting to get caught up in, the entertaining assets of what's happening around us, and not necessarily listening to the facts of how these ramifications can really affect us. And so I feel that if it's voting, I feel like if it's coming together to stand, for education equality, you got to go to your school board meetings. You have to be involved in your children's education and the curriculum and how, our children are being taught. That's community. You've got to be involved in community, but we also have to understand that educating our people on what policy is, how policy is effective, and how choosing these candidates wisely, how voting is essential. I think that people are really missing some of it. And then those who are, as we call them, woke, need to be more intentional and making sure that the information that we know is not only disseminated to those that don't, but that we continue to spread the word, of course, of how important this is for all of us. So I hear that music, Reverend Walron. We're going to take a quick break. It's Dominique Sharpton. I'm sitting in for Rev. Rev is going to be coming back momentarily, but we are taking your calls across the country. You can join in on the conversation today by calling us at 1-877-532-5797. We'll be back with more of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be right back.
Keeping it real. You were right there
from the beginning
with the stuff that was going on in Brooklyn at that time, at Howard Beach. You were right there.
He had in one of In one of the early movies, he had my name. Then he put me in Malcolm, and I wasn't even old enough to know Malcolm. We've been through it all.
For those who see Malcolm X, it's 3 hours. But fast forward to the scene yourself, Bobby Seale.
Right. Bobby Seale, Denzel, and me.
Yeah.
Denzel was on the set.
Now, let me ask a question. What was your weight on that scene?
I brought it about 270. I was bigger then.
Yeah.
Still had the hair, man.
Yeah, you had the hair on.
Yeah, it was
Denzel, yourself, and Bobby Seale.
Yeah, all in one scene.
And also, there was no cut. So we went like this.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Only Spike could have done that.
It's my brother right here.
My baby.
Brooklyn's in the house.
Yes, sir.
Brooklyn's in the house.
BK.
All over the world today, people are gathered in love vigils to celebrate the life of a man that taught the world how to love. People may be wondering why there's such an emotional outburst, but you would have to understand the journey of Michael to understand what he meant to all of us. For these that sit here as the Jackson family, a mother and father with 9 children that rose from a working class family in Gary, Indiana. They had nothing but a dream. No one believed in those days that these kind of dreams could come true. But they kept on believing, and Michael never let the world turn him around from his dreams. I first met Michael around 1970, Black Expo, Chicago, Illinois, Reverend Jesse Jackson, who stood by this family till now. And from that day as a cute kid to this moment, he never gave up dreaming. It was that dream that changed culture all over the world. When Michael started, it was a different world. But because Michael kept going, because he didn't accept limitations, because he refused to let people decide his boundaries, he opened up the whole world. In the music world, he put on one glove, pulled his pants up, and broke down the color curtain, where now our videos are shown and magazines put us on the cover. It was Michael Jackson that brought blacks and whites and Asians and Latinos together. It was Michael Jackson that made us sing "We Are the World" and feed the hungry long before Live Aid. Because Michael Jackson kept going, he created a comfort level where people that felt they were separate became interconnected with his music. And it was that comfort level that kids from Japan and Ghana and France and Iowa and Pennsylvania got comfortable enough with each other to later it wasn't strange to us to watch Oprah on television. It wasn't strange to watch Tiger Woods golf. Those young kids grew up from being teenage, comfortable fans of Michael to being 40 years old and being comfortable to vote for a person of color to be the president of the United States of America. Michael did that. Michael made us love each other. Michael taught us to stand with each other. There are those that like to dig around mess, but millions around the world, we're going to uphold his message. It's not about mess, it's about his love message. As you climb up steep mountains, sometimes you scar your knee, sometimes you break your skin, but don't focus on the scars, focus on the journey. Michael Beater, Michael rose to the top.
He outsang his cynics. He outdanced his doubters. He outperformed the pessimists. Every time he got knocked down, he got back up. Every time you counted him out, he came back in. Michael never stopped. Michael never stopped. Michael never stopped. I want to say to Mrs. Jackson and Joe Jackson, his sisters and brothers, we thank you for giving us someone that taught us love, someone that taught us hope. We want to thank you because we know it was your dream too. And we know that your heart is broken. I know you have some comfort from the letter from the President of the United States and Nelson Mandela, but this was your child. This was your brother. This was your cousin. Nothing will fill your heart's loss. But I hope the love that people are showing will make you know he didn't live in vain. And I want his 3 children to know, wasn't nothing strange about your daddy. It was strange what your daddy had to deal with. But he dealt with it. He dealt with it anyway. He dealt with it for us. So some came today, Mrs. Jackson, to say goodbye to Michael. I came to say thank you. Thank you because you never stopped. Thank you because you never gave up. Thank you because you never gave out. Thank you because you tore down our divisions. Thank you because you eradicated barriers. Thank you because you gave us hope. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Michael.
We have a young man in the studio who I think is an astounding young brother because of his youth. He's only 19 years old and he's accomplished a lot, and he's here to make a presentation to James Brown, and we'd like to welcome him warmly. His name is Al Sharpton. How about it for Al Sharpton? Al is the national director of the National Youth Movement Incorporated. Right, Al?
That's right.
And what do we have here?
Well, we come to break tradition. We know that in the recording industry that they give a gold record to those that achieve a million seller. But we view your million seller payback as a black record because it is relevant and says many of the things that young blacks have tried to say and could not musically express in our own little way. And we feel the payback is sort of like the theme song of Young Black America in 1974.
Now, before you go into the title tune of your latest album, you have a special guest.
Yeah, I do have a special guest, a young lady.
That's going to perform with you?
Yes.
You're lost.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I'm Dominique Sharpton, Reverend Sharpton's daughter, sitting in for him with the Reverend Dr. Michael Walron on this afternoon. And we're taking your calls. You can join in on the conversation. Thank you, Jalen. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. Got a lot to talk about and certainly want to hear from all of you as we have Reverend Walron on. You know, Reverend Walron, I was thinking over the break and thinking as you, Sister Nita was talking and we were talking about some of not only the issues, but of course the importance of voting and in this time with many of these elections that are coming up that are critical, especially in New York City and many other cities that are very valuable to, of course, the fabric of how we are moving forward in various aspects in politics and community building and so many other things. But specifically, Sister Nita was talking about housing, and I know that you help with the living wage legislation, particularly in New York. What policy issues do you feel should motivate people in this coming election, particularly as we're talking about Black and urban communities, as we're talking about how people should be, thinking about how policy certainly affects us. But if we have to really just, dumb it down, right? For people to really just understand the necessity of what this fight really means. What do you feel are some of these issues that should motivate people to just get up and just go? Rev, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yeah, I said we all should be motivated because the past 8 years have shown us why engagement is necessary and why disengagement is not only dangerous but detrimental to democracy and to our own, I think, personal, how we live our lives, I should say. Mm-hmm. And also reminds us that we don't live in silos, that we live in community together, and that we will all be in some way impacted by the political choices that we make or choose not to make. In particular, in our city, this is a critical moment for elections that are coming up for mayor. But I think in addition to what are important issues, I think we need to be knowledgeable of what can and cannot be done by the mayor of New York City versus what is done by the governor and the state legislature. I think sometimes we don't understand the power that each of these, whether it's assembly person, state senate, whether it is city council, governor, Congress, to understand what are the powers that each has to impact the lives of the citizens every day. For example, there may be things that we're talking about as education, for example, are critical in our city, not realizing that a lot of the funding for education that we may be thinking about is not only just state, but it's also federal funding that comes through. That is funneled through whoever is in power and in office at the time. Right now in Congress, we have Democrats who represent us from New York City and Republicans, but Republicans are in power, which means the Democrats don't have as much power to leverage certain things for their constituencies in their districts. These are the things that people need to be made aware of. So in our city, of course, for example, as in many urban centers, issues around equitable distribution of resources for education, for example. It's not enough to just say, well, we need to have better education. But what we see in places like New York City and Chicago and other major metropolises in this country is that there's inequality with regard to the distribution of resources. How do we equalize that more? How do we make sure that we're having equal engagement with education? We know right now that a lot of our children in these inner cities are way behind using technology and AI technology in particular, and how it advances education, enhances education, and empowers students. Mm-hmm. So that is something that I think education is critical. But again, understanding the trickle down of funding and how funding is dispersed on a local level is important. I think also, without a doubt, healthcare is an issue. What I find interesting, think about it for a second, Dominique. People like Marjorie Taylor Greene now have concerns. She's arguing against her party because she's concerned that many of her constituents in Georgia will lose healthcare. Now, what's interesting about this is that some of these are the same people who were against the health care because they named it Obamacare.
Right.
Right? So So it was Obamacare. We hated it. So now we're talking about affordable care and making care affordable. Some of the very Obamacare is going to get wiped away for some people, many of her constituents. And again, it shows how in this country politicians, elected officials, will cut off their nose to spite their face until their face and their nose need to be repaired. So,
Right.
to me, it's interesting. So again, I think these issues are critical. Education, healthcare, and of course, housing. New York City is not affordable unless you are, for many people, unless you are extremely wealthy. But again, that's many of our urban centers where on some level just gentrification is happening, but the money grab is taking place with landowners and people who own these buildings. They're trying to go for the big money. They don't care about providing affordable housing. And this, again, is connected to the federal government, federal funding. You know, you have the HUD. So you have the HUD department years ago that was responsible for partnering with local entities and building affordable housing in places like Jamaica, Queens, South Jamaica, and other places in the country. So again, that has a direct impact. I can tell you right now, the Secretary of HUD is not thinking about that. I can tell you that right now.
Right.
I don't even have to know the policies they're pushing, but I know because these are people appointed by Donald Trump, they have no interest in how do we provide housing for those who are struggling in urban centers, who are being priced out. So again, this all says what? Every election is important, and there's really no time that we can engage in disengagement because the consequences and the repercussions are drastic.
That's right. That's right. I see Demetrius holding on. Let me get Demetrius in before we have to take a break. Demetrius from Cleveland, you're keeping it real. Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon. How are you today?
Okay, how are you?
He must have hung up.
My name is Tyrone.
Oh, Tyrone.
I'm calling from North Philadelphia.
Okay.
WURD.
All right.
And I'd like to speak on the Million Man March. And also, I would like to just make a brief comment about the young ladies who said that they support the army coming in to the city to deal with the crime that's happening in the city. I definitely would like to speak on that.
All right. Let's hear it, Tyrone.
Oh, I can go?
Yes, sir. You're live on the air.
I'm so sorry. Oh, well, good evening, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. And peace and blessings, much love and respect to all the progressive folks in the world. I just want to give a great shout out to Mosque number 12, Minister Rodney Muhammad. We had a 30-year celebration presentation where the Elijah Minister Farrakhan did receive a presentation of Minister Farrakhan doing 30 years ago at the Million Man March. And I just want to thank the Mosque number 12 family for giving me the opportunity to do a AI experience. Because, ladies and gentlemen, sitting in the mosque and being a part of the 30-year celebration, listening to the minister share that great message of black men doing what we need to do to fight what we are fighting each and every day. And ladies and gentlemen, I just want to thank all the progressive folks who are trying to do the best they can to deal with what's happening across this country. Anytime a president say he hates, when you use the word hate, it has a lot of implications. And when you say that you hate Democrats, that means that you hate me. And in hating me, you are saying to me that you would do anything possible to hurt me and anything possible not to represent me. So for a president of this country to hate anyone, he needs to understand that word. And in closing, to the young ladies who said that it's all right to send
Tyrone, let's
the
hold on.
military.
Tyrone, I don't want to cut you off, but let's hold that thought because I hear the music and I don't want to cut you off. So can we hold that thought through the break? We'll be back with more Keeping It Real with Sharpton and Walron, 877-532-5797. We'll be right back.
Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Let's go back to the phone. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin is. Every day, Monday through Friday, I do 3 hours a day on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. I do 1 hour on Sunday mornings with Reverend Al Sharpton. And I'm live on radio and TV with the Saturday Action Rally. 7 days a week, I talk to our people, hear from them, to call in. I'm sick and tired of people talking for people that they don't talk to. So go on www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Listen to my show, call in, express your opinion. You don't have to agree with me. But let's start talking to each other rather than about each other and lecturing at each other. Let's keep it real with Sharpton. And I think that is extremely important about the funding. But I also want to add how they're changing what can be taught. You have states outright saying you can't teach Black history and you can't teach certain other histories and the curriculum. You have this administration that is literally taking out exhibits from the Smithsonian. So we have not only an education problem in terms of resources, we have an education problem in terms of curriculum and what people are being taught. So I have one grandchild, 6-year-old. When he gets to high school, it may be just against the law for him to learn about certain parts of American history, which includes Black. We don't want to talk about slavery. We want to talk about the good side of America. Well, what does that mean? That's not history. Everything was not good. And I think that that is the threat that we've got to fight, which is why we've got to fight in the courts and the streets, because they are literally changing the textbooks as we go. As they do that, they change the opportunities, because then the fight against affirmative action is not having access to these institutions and telling these institutions, this whole fight around DEI, which they started in Harvard with a Black woman president. Started with them saying you can't teach diversity in an Ivy League school like Harvard. It didn't start in Little Rock at the high school. This fight, this time, was Harvard. And they went from there on. And I think that we've got to have the same resistance. If they could fight in the 50s, the ACP people put forward together and deal with the question from Little Rock in terms of desegregation, then we that are far more educated, far more economically secure personally, have no excuse in the age of what they did in Harvard not to be standing up back to themselves.
that DEI is a result of those that by law and later by enforcement would not deal with diversity, would not deal with including people of color, gender, sexual orientation, as well as disabled. And the conscious effort by government and the private sector to begin to equalize the opportunities of this country was something that makes it more humane and fair for all of us. To DEI diversify. It's not based on the lack of merit. We could not show our merit because we were extremely pompous conservatives that talk about we want a society based on merit. Well then, if it's based on merit, then why did you discriminate based on race and gender? Until they cut off much of the population and then had merit between white males. That was what they meant, not merit. Let's have real merit, but let's also make up the ground that those of us with merit was not able to compete.
Couldn't do it. But all the world can see that when we come together, when we rise above our differences, we can come and show an effort that no one can stop. Let us first salute Minister Louis Farrakhan for making a call that reached all of us and has shaken the world. Let me say this. When we hear the word today, when we leave here this evening, we are not leaving having had just a rally. We're going home to do some work. You think you see a crowd now, wait till we go home and get our sisters. You think you've seen something now, wait till we go home and get our mothers.
Keeping it real.
The political story of 94.
Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back.
Voted in a new Congress.
Reverend Dr. Michael A. Walron is our co-host. Let me thank Dominique for sitting in 2 segments. I had to get on a Zoom call. We're really following up the Wall Street March and laying out some strategies in terms of our buying shares and these shareholder meetings. And I had to do a national call to consummate that. You'll be hearing details about that probably by the middle of next week, but it's going very well. Let me say again by way of announcements, don't forget watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton every Saturday and Sunday live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MSNBC. One of the things that's interesting to me is that now a lot of the people that you used to chase down, they're calling me, asking to get on the show. People that governors wanting to run for president and all of that. But I'm very selective because I want to talk to people that got something to say and that are in the middle of what we're interested in. A lot of shows do things and they should what they believe is their audience wants. I try to do things that touch the lives of our people. So watch it every Saturday and Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MSNBC. And, of course, if you're in the New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut vicinity, meet me or beat me to the Saturday Action Rally at the House of Justice in Harlem, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue in the village of Harlem. And, of course, you that are not in Harlem or New York area, you can watch it live on Impact Television, which is the only national black-owned gospel TV network. And you can also watch it on National Action Network .net, our live stream. Rem Walron, what's going on FCBC?
Good afternoon. Sunday. Hello?
Yeah, you on.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yes, our Pink Sunday for Breast Cancer Awareness Sunday. As you remember, we did Blue Sunday in September, last Sunday in September, in recognition of prostate cancer awareness, and now breast cancer awareness. We have activities from Wednesday going on through Sunday. This is, I don't remember which year this is, but we've been doing Pink Sunday far longer than we've been doing Blue Sunday, of course. And particularly because black women are diagnosed with breast cancer, Rev, at a higher rate. And oftentimes when African-American women are diagnosed, they're diagnosed later on in the stages, stage 3, stage 4. So we, several times a year, we have breast cancer screening mobile unit at the church, but we set this Sunday aside to recognize those who are going through it now and those who survived it, or those who have family members who passed from it.
All right, that's important. All right, let's go back. I believe you talking to Tyrone before the break. Is Tyrone?
We hung up.
All right, he hung up. Let me go to David in Maryland. David.
Yes, thank you, Reverend Warren and Reverend Sharpton, for taking my call. Listen, I'm in the country in Brandywine, Maryland. I got a question to ask, particularly Reverend Warren. Reverend Warren, I'm a part-time farmer. I have a little bit of land. Can the church accept donations like cars, land, etc., like some radio stations, etc.? Because I'm 77, prostate cancer, and I'm willing to donate part of my estate to the church, especially churches like yours, Reverend Warwan, who are doing something. Is my question. That's my question. Do we accept that? Can you?
Oh, absolutely. I think what we do at FCBC, something we've been doing the past couple of years, is teaching people about estate planning. So there are many churches that really teach people to do that, and there are people in churches who do bequeath their land or part of their estate to churches. It happens all the time. It's no different than bequeathing part of an estate to a nonprofit.
Yeah.
In that regard. So yes, there's definitely that happens a lot actually.
Okay, well, you may be hearing from me. I'm a country boy, and I see my lawyer next week. I'm glad to know that because I didn't know you could accept it, and I thank God for you and Reverend Sharpton and all the work that you both are doing. But I think we need to build up our churches with wealth like the original church.
Yeah.
So everything in common. I mean, that's what I have a strong feeling about that. And as I said, I have some items, and I don't know how long I'm going to be here. But I would like to leave to the church. Maybe that'll help me get to the promised land.
Well, I hope you're here longer than you think. God bless you for your thoughts.
Thank you.
And I think that's wonderful. I think that's a wonderful thought, but we pray for your strength, and that's wonderful. You want to do something with the church. And yes, you can leave and land and other things to the church, and people have done that. Many of our board members, including Rev. Walron, is are pastors of churches. We've even had people leave things to Nan. But I think it's a great idea to deal with it with the church. Let's go to Ruth in Atlanta, Georgia. Ruth, WAOK in Atlanta. Is Ruth there?
You hear me?
I hear you now, yes.
Okay. I said good afternoon, and I wanted to say this. I'll be as brief as I can. First of all, I say this about Reverend Sharpton all the time. Had it not been for your commitment and service and all of that, I think you were instrumental and an integral part of President Obama receiving a second term. Thanks to you, and happy belated birthday. Mine was October 2nd. I was 85 years old.
Oh, wow. Happy birthday.
Thank you so much. But I wanted to get right to the heart of the situation in terms of what's going on in this country today. First of all, education is critical. It's critical to our people. The reason why I think life is complex, but the reason why we are in the condition that we're in, because we have failed to perpetuate education as much as we should be doing. I'm not saying that the good things are not happening to our people. The second thing I wanted to say is the vote. The vote is the most important thing. I don't care what people are telling you. When these white people said, I'm voting because we're tired of high prices, it was not that. Donald Trump and his minions sent a clarion call, race. If you can, all you need to know, if you're a critical thinker, if you can put a convicted felon and put him in the most powerful position in the United States and the world. Put a convicted criminal. That's all you need to know. It was all about race. Whenever a white person comes to me and tell me, oh, no, it's this. No. And until we confront it and say what it is, because Donald Trump, Vance, and all of them are saying race, and I want the Democrats to hold fast. I don't want them to give in. You got to fight them with everything, and voting will do it. We've got to get out, have what you have said, Al Sharpton, Reverend Sharpton, sustain indignation.
That's right. That's right.
Is what you need. And they really have it. White people have it. And you've got one final thing I'm going to say. You've got to be an idiot if you think a rich person is ever concerned about a poor person.
Wow. You on fire today. I love it though. You're right. You're right, Ruth. Thank you for your call. And I think the problem that I keep confronting, and it's unavoidable, Dr. Walron, is not how people, and it came to mind when she said that we got to be foolish to think rich people care about poor people. The real problem is not rich people caring about us. It's about us caring about us. And I think that the fact that we have been trained and down through generations picked up parts of the training to really not care about ourselves, our finances, our health. I mean, in every area of life, we were taught not to care about ourselves. To care about yourself and your family in and of itself is a revolutionary act. But let me thank Reverend Dr. Michael A. Walron. Let me thank Dominique for sitting in 2 segments. Let me thank all of you that called in, listened in. You that called in and couldn't get through but hung in there anyhow. Remember, whatever you do, wherever you go, however you feel, tell somebody, tell anybody, tell everybody. Reverend Al told you personally, keep it real. Keep it real.